Hello and welcome to the Friday, May 7th meeting of the Finance Committee, or unusual meeting that we had to call ahead of town meeting, pursuant to the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general laws, chapter 30A, paragraph 20, as well as the select board's emergency order dated March 16th, 2020. The Finance Committee will be using remote participation for this meeting. The audio of this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the town's webpage within 24 hours in accordance with the governor's emergency action requirement of keeping the public informed of actions during this meeting. I would ask that all participants remotely attending this meeting please state your name for identification purposes each time you speak throughout the meeting. This time I will take a roll call of attendance, and it looks like Vin's going to get in here. So Ms. Zemer.
Here.
Mr. Whitaker.
Here.
Mr. Alford.
Here.
Ms. Nersessian.
Here.
Mr. Murphy.
Here.
And I am, of course, here. So we are now in open session. Now, I will begin by, if you guys give me 1 second here, and I got to make sure I have the hosting privileges, which I do. Okay, so let me share. And before anybody complains, I'll change the font size if you can't see it. But let me share the, is this the one? I want to make sure I'm sharing the right window here. Okay. So this is the draft as a current form. I did receive some initial feedback, so I wanted to present where we are. The only feedback I haven't incorporated yet is Sue's, because I was out and I just got home to do it. So, so at Vin's suggestion, and I think a couple of you independently had suggested, because obviously we haven't discussed this. We have suggested that we do something like an executive summary or something that would summarize the points at the beginning. So, Dan suggested doing this, which is essentially, and let me just state what the intent was, that the bold statements, the bolded lines basically summarize the key points, and then there's background for each point afterwards. So in that sense, what I think Dan, I'm looking at what he suggested, right? His suggestion was take all those bold points and just put them up front, so that anybody who wanted to get kind of the executive summary without reading the whole thing could get the highlights. And so that's what that is. Sue had a bunch of changes, which I can go through, and let me see if I can get those. I'm not going to necessarily share them, and I know I'm blocking the screen right now a little bit, so just give me a second here.
And just to, so everybody is aware, I thought it was a little long, and I understand the context and the law is probably needed, but for someone who is a Joe Sue on the street like me, I think sometimes maybe having an example or two would be helpful if we can build it in, or two, just using maybe it's different word choices. And then I did try to streamline it a little bit, where if it wasn't like a critical word, just condense it a little bit. So those were sort of the things.
Agree with Sue. It's too long for a press release. I think it's useful, but nobody's going to read it. And the other feedback I got from other people that I sent it to outside of town, and my wife, but I sent it to our press secretary or media person for our company. Just said, can you look at this? And her quick review said, you're doing too many I's, too many things about the FinCom. You got to do, what is it, for the residents.
Yep.
Lack of transparency, lack of oversight, blah, blah, blah. What's it
bias
as opposed to the FinCom?
Okay, so do you have any specific changes? Remember, we have
I can't even see anything because my eyes are still blurry from the dialect.
Okay.
So
they have new testing that you can do that you don't have to get dilated. That it actually is a computer that does that same thing. Yeah. I'll send you my person's name.
Okay.
Who did it for next year.
I can't see anything right now.
Yeah.
And
okay.
It was much easier. Sorry.
So I'm sharing Sue's changes now because I want people to look at them, and before I incorporate them, I figure if everybody looks at them and agrees with them, then I'll just make the changes. I can make the changes later if necessary. So
scroll up. It doesn't seem like there's, I was trying to shorten it down. I couldn't because I like all the words, but Sue's right. The one thing I would say is I do like the header that I sort of came up with.
Agreed. 100%.
Incorporate both of them.
Yeah, I think
Well-
it needs to be scannable for people who won't read the details.
Right.
Yeah, and what I would suggest, given what Vin said, is I will add one bullet because it talks about the changes. I'll add the one bullet that I have later on. It's in the text, but I didn't bold it, which was that it will have an impact on you from the taxation standpoint, right? Without
Just saying oversight. So the person, nobody's financial watchdogs, and emphasize somebody being there for the taxpayers to look over and making sure the money's being spent.
right.
smartly
And that
or-
we don't have Prop 2.5 every year.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Let me go ahead. I'm going to incorporate this in a second as soon as I have to fix the bulleting here. Hold on. So let me know when everybody's read that first page, and I'll scroll to the next page.
I'm ready.
Okay, is everybody good? Because I know Vin can't see it, but I'm saying, Michelle,
Yeah.
okay, you good? Because then, okay, so go ahead, just read it, because I want you to, because if all these, again, these changes are going to take some time to incorporate, so if everybody's fine with them, I'll just incorporate them afterwards.
Can you email this to us now? Now that we have it up in up in open session. Can we not?
Yes. Hang on one second. Hang on.
So,
It'll look weird from a sharing perspective, so I'll have to go to my email to share to send it. But here,
can I ask, so if this message is to town meeting, I've always been a strong proponent of town meeting being aware that they are the main legislative body of the town.
right, and that Dan, when it suggested some of that I've incorporated, and I'll tell you where that is when we get to it. He suggested adding a sentence, and I'll get to that in a second when we. Once you're done reviewing this, okay, I will share back the document as we're editing on the fly. As I said, given the kind of the nature of the changes Sue had suggested, it's going to take a while to put all these little changes in.
Well,
So
you
I
can
didn't
just
want
accept all.
Yeah. Well, yes, I know I can do that, but I've already made other changes to the document.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do a compare too. That's what is it? Yeah, compare and then add them in that way. But on that line that says, "Thus the town administrator will operate," take out the "will" and make it "operates."
Okay.
Right at the top, fourth line, fifth line down.
I forgot my computer.
Operates. Okay. Well, okay.
It's not future tense. It's current tense. It's operates based on.
Okay.
That's what they do. And then you'll see there were some spots where sometimes I think putting it like having a story, right? The examples might be helpful. Again, if it's if we're going to have this as support.
I think
the only thing I was thinking is it just gives context, because some of this is legalese, and for me it was hard, and so I think, again, for someone who may not be as familiar with the sort of how everything works, that's why I thought maybe examples of where things, honestly, we would have been in a very different position through COVID had we not been so fiscally prudent.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we would have been night and day, right? We would have had to lay people off. It would have been like other towns were experiencing.
I'm good with all of these changes.
I was
Did
wondering,
you read the document, this version, this that I forwarded, or are you reading this page?
I'm reading that page. I want to keep some of the stuff that I think Sue says is confusing. I understand what she's saying, and I agree with it. I just don't know how to.
Okay. Well, so let me go on to this page. And Michelle, are you ready?
no, I wanted to add something.
Okay.
I know you're trying to top off, but where you say that the select board oversees 35%, is it possible to add the percentage of budgets that they oversee, not the dollar amounts, but the percentage of budgets? Because it's 35% is low because the school department is such a big budget, but they oversee the majority of the budgets.
Yes, number of budgets, definitely, yes.
I just don't know what that number is.
Okay, I have the number somewhere probably. It's a large number.
It's gonna be 80% or something. I mean, it's or 70% or something.
I mean, should we disclose? I mean, this obviously could have a potential big impact on the schools and the amount.
Well, that's in the one thing that you said was a little bit confusing. If you look at the draft, that last sort of big paragraph where it says it includes adjusting the school department budgets. I mean, it's, look, a lot of this is going to be, there still might be done in sort of consultation with the schools, but if it's sort of the choices. Why is it, when the select board says, we can't fund this, that's in the context of funding their own priorities.
Right.
So,
Okay. Michelle, well, I don't mean to interrupt you, Dan, but did you guys get the copy that I emailed?
Yes, but I can't, I only have it on my phone, so it's hard to read.
Okay, because I was going to say I wanted to stop sharing so I could start making the changes in the document so that I could eventually change.
I can read it on my phone.
Okay, because I just want to, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can start incorporating the changes into the document, and then hopefully if I can do it quickly, as Sue said, then I'll
just to give my thought. I'm not implying that there would be any sort of impropriety by the select board, right? It's just that naturally speaking, when you're elected to a board and you've elected on a platform to do things and to, achieve certain goals, you want to ensure that those goals are achieved. It's just a sort of a natural. So of course there's going to be a bias towards your own sort of goals and achievements and spending desires. And so if a committee that has that as sort of their has a platform and has that as their sort of goal, of course there's going to, even if the town administrator is making some of these decisions, well, the town administrator reports to the select board, is hired by the select board, in theory could be fired by the select board, is reviewed by only the select board.
Well, why is there the bylaw that we can't serve on any other committees, boards?
To ensure in our independence and that we don't have any spending needs.
There's no conflict of interest.
Right.
And
there absolutely is a conflict of interest if it's overseen by the select board or the town administrator. There just inherently is.
Even if
the governance committee is trying to twist it.
It's an appearance.
Right.
The governance committee has been trying to twist it to say that because we're involved in the sort of not the individual budget development process, but the overall development process, that makes us biased. And I don't, for the life of me, I see what they're trying to say, but I don't understand how.
They're saying it enough, people are believing it. So that's the problem. And also saying that the town administrator is a professional. We should allow the professional to do this. We don't need to have these volunteer people doing it. And that's not our role to do the budgets, to oversee it and bless it or not bless it and say yay or nay and then go and no, this is too much. That's our role. That's not.
We've never wanted to build budgets.
No, but that's what they're telling everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the problem right now.
And the professionals are involved from the very beginning.
Of course they are.
They always have been. I mean, even when the prior town administrator was here, we still would work with the professionals under him, the accountant and the treasurer and anyone else.
Well, candidly, just think of what would happen if we were in a situation where we were, go back 2 years ago and this was coming up. It would be chaos. I mean, it would be chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said that last night.
Yep.
And what was did they say anything?
The response was that if the towns that had such strong policies were glad that they had them when they were hiring.
Yeah, my problem with the whole thing, and something we should reiterate, is they only talk to the town administrators. They never talk to any elected officials, any members of the public who live there.
Well,
so you're getting
they didn't talk to the public in Holliston. They didn't talk to people in Holliston even.
But I'm just thinking of this. So when they went and solicited all the different things, they only talked to one people, and it's the people who are the town administrators. They're employees. They're not the ones who are paying the taxes.
Right. But their response is, well, the select board better make sure to hire a good town administrator.
And we can point out it doesn't always happen.
I'm sorry, but but I'm sorry, but the select board had top high ratings for our prior town administrator.
Yeah.
It was abysmally a failure. It was terrible.
Yeah, so it doesn't always go, and who's
Right.
having oversight if you have the same board doing it?
And just to be, and not to pile on, but just to point out, right? The argument to that will be, well, there are different select board members, but let's remember that one of the current select board members was on the selection committee and chose that town administrator, recommended that town administrator. So just to show that it doesn't matter if you pick a good one, you can still pick bad ones.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm slowly getting the changes in here.
One thing is very much, talk about how other towns and town administrators, they wanted to have a budget bylaw. Well, at first I was like, do we really need it? I've kind of come around. Yeah, let's have a budget bylaw. But what's in the budget bylaw? You can have the budget bylaw without, with the current process that's in place. We actually do have a fairly clear process in place. What the problem is it meshes 3 different sources of information together, and you need to weave them to, into one. You could in theory just write up a document that says, okay, this is how we do it, and they're the sources of the information and why we do it this way. But it takes state law, the 94 Special Act, which is obviously also state law, but specific to Holliston. And, then there is, and then our own bylaws. And it puts it together. And so you could easily put together a budget bylaw that fleshed that out a little bit more, maybe included a few things where the town administrator's responsibilities were heightened somewhat, as far as like what we've been doing this year with the Board of Health and with the town clerk, where we asked him to sort of get involved in helping sort of structure those increases in hours for even, independent boards.
I have another, I don't want to keep adding to this and make it longer, but another problem I have with this is that there are not date certains, but there's very certain timelines. And I go back to when the election laws were changed, and we changed our election laws, and it turned out it conflicted with a bylaw. Remember that we had the hours for election, and we weren't allowed to change because it was in the bylaw, right, even though state law changed. Well, if you had these timelines in a bylaw during COVID, we would be in conflict with the bylaw.
We're not sure, though. I mean, they might have said, well, it waives it, but I agree. It's a possibility. I'm totally against the bylaw. I think we need to have a policy.
I mean, or even the school couldn't have done this because they don't have the teacher contracts. I mean, I just don't like the idea of having such a set, rigid.
Right.
You can say, attempt to or something like that, but to be so rigid with a timeline, I agree. I think that's just really poor planning.
I have an odd grammatical thing I'd like to point out on the second page, and that there's the first 2 bolded sentences. It's the first says the changes in Article 9 limits, and the second one says the changes in Article 9.
Yes, I know that it should be singular. Yes, change the limit to finance committee.
Cool.
Right. I just saw that. I'm not up to there yet. I'm still. I'm going through. Actually, no. I am. I'm almost there. Hold on a second. Just keep going. Keep discussing. I'm just going to keep editing while you're talking. It'll get done.
And then I have another question. Since this is a press release, I know we don't have time to make a handout. Could we, I have no problem at all giving like Ken or giving someone else the authority to turn this into some kind of a handout that we can have on the table.
Well, we could just print it out. I mean, this is,
No, but I mean, we're trying to condense it.
I think we just hand this out.
I think so too.
Okay.
But I do think it should be a handout too.
Oh yeah, no, I think that we can do that. That's certainly fine. Just hang on. Okay. Almost there, actually.
I keep thinking of more points that should be added. So in my head,
yes, well, that's.
So, I mean, there's nothing in it about, the public information part.
Well, what in what sense?
Where they keep saying public information that doesn't change, but how many times have we had executive sessions?
No, that is in there.
Is that in there? Did I miss that?
Yep. it access to it's the changes in Article 9 would limit the finance committee's access to financial information and would handicap the role.
Oh, I just see it. I don't know.
Even this whole thing, it changes the transparency because the TA can create budgets and he doesn't have to have a public meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. And well, not only that, but he's not in many respects, he's not answerable to the public.
Correct. That's, yeah. I think we have to emphasize that. Oh, no, he's answerable to the select board. No, he is, but you're changing the authority.
Yeah. But, okay, so I think I got them all in here. Now I will tell you, there are formatting things. So I accepted Sue's changes and there were a couple little formatting things in here.
Yeah, you got to make the top a little smaller so it
Yes, I did that already.
Mm-hmm. Michelle, did you raise your hand again, or did you just leave it up?
No,
I didn't even see that yet because okay. So I'm just trying to get to the point where I have a document to share here. So I think I'm at that point. Okay. So I think I got all of Sue's stuff in here. Now, again, I accepted the changes. So if she made mistakes, they're going to be in here. But there are also probably mistakes I made. But
you didn't take out the paragraph or something that she highlighted, right? That wasn't a delete. That was just a highlight to look at.
Yeah, well, the things I took out all their comments when I put it in the final because I don't want any of that in the final document, obviously. So I have them, but I didn't. Okay, so now let me share what I have here, which is this one. This is the version I should share. Okay, so this is it with, and let's just go through this.
How's it still on 4 pages?
Oh, because I probably didn't adjust the margins, but let me see what it is here. Hold on. Yeah, I probably didn't adjust the margins. The freaking whatchamacallit takes up so much room, the header.
Well, you can make it even smaller, and then so try that.
Well, I'm just thinking right now I have the top, and what I'd really want is let's see, this top. Just make it 4 pages.
Did you make it side by side?
No.
You need to go to 0.7. You just go to the individual ones.
Yeah. Okay. 0.7 on each one.
Yes, something 5 or on the left, on the right. Do a half.
Yeah.
Leave the bottom and the top.
I'll leave them at a half.
Yeah, but just the sides go to 0.7.
Okay. Clearly, you've spent more time working on figuring out how to get this to 3 pages than I have. So, okay, it's now 3 pages with some room.
So long, it's my opinion.
It still is very long. Yep, I agree.
It's long, but we get the points out up top, and hopefully some people read it. If they don't,
yeah, and as I said, from the handout perspective, I think that's fine. I mean, look, the bottom line is that we can take the approach of condense it down to 5 bullet points. But what I've been hearing is, okay, so there's this dispute over it. Well, why is this dispute, right? So I'd rather lay it all out. Let people read the top part if that's all they want to read, and then have all the stuff there. They can read the bolded parts, which are summarized in the top part, but this becomes something that anybody can reference to say, okay, this is our primary objection to it. So, and the other thing, to be honest with you, the other thing I think about is with respect to people that are going to really care, right? If they really want to find out, they're going to want to find out, as opposed to, they're not going to want the TikTok explanation, right? Somebody sent me something from Facebook this week where somebody was saying, can somebody tell me what this is all about? And yes, this is long, but you read this and you're going to understand what it's all about. So,
are you sharing this for a reason, or should we take it down so we can talk?
I can do that. Actually, what I'll do is I was sharing it just to give everybody that, but what I should do is I'll send it out to everybody right now to take a quick look at. Okay, so let me stop sharing for a second so I can send it.
Can I just a couple things. One, I think we need a heading before John's. We need a bolded heading before John's comments. I think they're incredibly powerful. Removing the last barrier between the boards that spend money on their own whim, that I thought was incredibly powerful.
Should you just highlight the first sentence?
well, somewhere we need like just a, a similar, right? Like a lead in, a bolded lead in or something to it. I just say, former select board, member commented or something like that, because I think his comments are coming from the select board, who is not in power now, I think has a lot of weight and credence because they understand the process that has happened in the past and can objectively weigh in, right? It's not, they don't have skin in the game.
So should I bold that last bullet point?
I don't know if it matters who's also a state rep.
Sure, just bold that last point. I mean, it's already at the top, so it's already sort of in that high,
I don't know. Did you hear me? He was also a state rep. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, okay. What I can do with that, if we feel it necessary to call that out, I can put that in the paragraph where I have it, and so say, where do I have it here? Okay, I can say former select board and state member and state representative. Right. I can just put that in the paragraph.
Former state rep, right? He's not still a state rep.
No.
Yeah. So you put former.
Yes, I put it before both of them. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's no ambiguity.
Yeah. But I just think because it's at the end, I fear people will have, it's 3 pages, will have gotten tired. And I don't want people to miss it because I do think it's very impactful around the comments and the insightfulness in terms of like what really truly is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. I will solve that. Hopefully, let me see. I will do this. What the hell? I don't understand. Man, sometimes I don't understand what the heck Word's doing. There we go.
And we voted on it already?
No.
We haven't. Okay. So I had unanimously. If Tim's not here, that's the only thing. It might not be unanimous. Oh, he is
here.
Oh,
Tim's
great.
here. He's got his hand up. As a matter of fact, he did have his hand up.
Sorry, Tim.
So you're a little presumptuous with my vote.
Well, no, okay. Sorry. If it's not unanimous, we can take that out. It's okay.
I had raised my hand, Ken, because on that third paragraph, Article 9 transfers the entire budget process. That paragraph, if you read down one of the revisions, rather than having those will the expertise.
Right, it should be with. I saw that. It's funny you caught that, Tim, because I saw that when I read it. And I was like, as I was making the edits, I'm like, I saw this change. I couldn't find where it was. So I'm glad you found it. Because I remember reading Sue's changes and saying there's a will where there should be a with. And, so it's a good call there, Tim. So
at least I added something.
There you go. Okay, so what I did was I bolded the bullet, the last bullet about the select board, and I put a sub bullet underneath that said, see the entire text of his comments on the proposal on page 3. Okay, so that highlights that there's, so if anybody wants to read the whole text. Okay, so you guys, I sent it out to all of you. You should be able to review it. Feel free to take a look at it now. I'm not sharing it now, but I'm saying take a look at what you just got in your email. And, I'll read it right in front of me now while we're doing this. Because I hadn't had a chance to review all of Sue's changes.
Give me a reason why I care as a voter. Transfer entire budget preparation process to TA and would largely remove the finance committee from the process. I don't care. What does it matter? Tell me why. And you're not telling me there in the third bullet.
What's the
effect?
Well, I added a sentence. I added another bullet while we were talking about that says the shift of control could significantly impact your taxes long term. Now I can put that as the second bullet before the changes in Article 9 bullet.
Well, my wondering now, I'll open it up to everybody because I don't really write these things, but should we answer this will result in, after each included within each bullet, transfer the process to select board, remove the finance committee from the process, which could result in, or this will result in, or
I mean, we can't say.
Well, you could do that, but I think it would be better just, as I said, put a bullet, the second bullet, to just say the shifting control could significantly impact your taxes long-term.
And I don't think you saved the document before you sent it to us because it doesn't incorporate some of the most recent edits that we talked about, like the state rep bit and things.
Oh yeah, no, after I sent it out, you mentioned the changes you've mentioned since I sent it out, I'm putting in right now. So, and that's why I said I'll send it out again, and that'll be what gets, posted. So that state, I said, I'm going to add in that one sentence, which is on page 3, the second paragraph from the bottom, is where I added, I just changed the word says former select board member, I added and former state representative. That's what I added there. Okay. And the other change I've made since that merge was to add the sub bullet that I talked about a minute ago that say, see the entire text of his comments on the proposal on page 3. And then the discussion now is I added a bullet that says the shift of control could significantly impact your taxes long-term. Okay. Now to Vin's point, do we want to move that bullet to be the second bullet in the list and then have the changes in Article 9 would, and then have the specific things?
Well, I think it's more than just taxes. I think it's also weakens, how do we know the money's going to be spent wisely? You're putting it all into control, and you're.
Okay.
I think it goes back to the whole control thing, that one board versus all the other boards loses control. And I think we need to emphasize that, because
there's no independent
say
party.
that again, Ben.
Which remove the finance committee, and you should probably, Sue has a good point, the independent authority in the whole budget process.
Right, we have no skin in the game. There's just no skin in the game except for the interest of the entirety of the town.
So maybe that's the second, what you put within that first bullet.
Anyone would laugh if you suggested giving this responsibility to the school committee.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so
and yet their budget is the majority for the town.
The budget is the majority.
Right, a majority of the departments.
And just because other towns do it differently doesn't mean that they have better outcomes.
Well, I mean, it might be worthwhile to look into other towns who have done it differently and what their outcome was in COVID.
Uxbridge had a embezzlement of $750,000.
It's much easier to have it when you don't have a check and balance on fraud. Much easier.
Yeah.
Collusion is.
Well, I don't want to get into yeah. I mean,
sorry.
I don't want to suggest that
No. We're not. I'm not suggesting that would happen, but it is much easier when you don't have checks and balances in place.
They need to have controls, and one of the controls is checking and oversight.
Right.
So you need that, and sorry you don't like it, but it is the way it is, and it's the best practice.
Okay, so how about
That's why
this?
companies and their CEOs are not doing. They're not doing the CFO responsibilities. Right.
And it's also why the auditors don't have to have the CFO determine what the audit report looks like. So, okay, so how about this, Vin? The bullet says the shift of control could significantly impact your taxes long-term, limits oversight, and takes control away from the only board that has no financial interest in the town budget.
I think that's good.
Okay, and should I put that as the second bullet and then have the changes in Article 9 after that?
I think. What do you guys think? I think that makes sense.
Because I can pull that bullet and the other quote bullet, put those as the bylaw changes budget. That's first bullet. Second bullet would be shift of control could impact you. Third bullet is here's what a former select board member is saying.
I would say I like the last one being the select board because it kind of grabs you.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if you wanted those up top to.
No, I mean I like it.
People would fade after the second bullet.
No, but
you have so little faith in anybody to read this.
Having a quotes, it makes sense and it's good. And
okay, so let me.
Kind of grabs you at the end. It's like if you either put it at the first or you put it at the last. I think it's a good place.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, so let me put that. I'm just moving the bullets around right now. Of course, Word is not cooperating.
We need a marketing person on the board, on the committee.
There you go.
No, we are the finance committee.
I know, but we need a marketing person because at this point.
What the hell? Okay, I'm just going to retype this. Word just doesn't want to do the indentation, right?
Oh, I hate dealing with formatting.
Yeah, so I tried to just move it up and then it didn't like the, just didn't like the, hold on. So I'm just copying and pasting it instead.
You need a map.
Let's not, oh, Jesus, let's not go there. This is so funny. Even when I cut and paste the text, it still wants to indent it the wrong way. So I'm just going to retype it. Okay. Okay. So anything else? You guys reading the rest of the document?
I'm still blurry, so no.
I know you're not. I'm talking about those of us who can see. No, just kidding.
Do we want any examples or no?
I think examples are a very good idea because they'll make it easier for people to understand and grasp.
Okay, so what example did you have? You didn't put one in, right, Sue?
I didn't. I just suggested in some, some certain places that it might be helpful.
Okay, so where would? Yeah, I mean, given the length, everybody's talking about the length, right? We add more to it.
I know. Maybe
So-
then maybe we just,
I mean, we do talk about the pandemic. That's but what example? What would you think is a good example to put in here? I mean, does anybody have an example that they think would,
No, I mean, yeah, a theoretical example or a actual or something that's actually happened.
either? Obviously, an actual example would be good in terms of something that actually happened, but a theoretical example is good too to show how the rules. I mean, you're trying to exemplify the differences, right?
Well, I mean, I just like the example that if there's a $200,000 gap at the bottom line and the schools.
Oh yes,
have a $200,000 ask, and then the select board collectively across some of its budgets have a $200,000 ask, and both view them as high priority and absolutely need them. With us making that final recommendation to town meeting, we'd be able to work with them and try to sort of come to a solution that we kind of work down with the select board sort of control. I don't know why the schools would vote down their budget to allow the select board to fund their not, I mean, it's just
right.
It adds a lot of conflict into the process. Even earlier without a neutral sort of third party, almost like a mediator in some ways, right? Like it's sort of like just sort of it's not even that we're trying to decide what's best for Holliston. It's more just trying to work with the boards to sort of come up with sort of what say hey, we need some what's best for everybody, right? Not even sort of
Now,
but I don't know how to type that into kind of a
So and the question is
maybe
where do we put it?
Maybe that's a discussion then for when it's presented, right? Maybe Ken, are you planning to speak on it? Because if
I will certainly speak on it. Obviously, I'll do my job and represent the finance committee's viewpoint. Yes.
okay, so maybe these are speaking points, and we could just come up with a couple bullets for you for that instead of in here.
I think that's probably the best, and then we'll talk about that Monday before town meeting.
Yeah.
Do you have a deck too?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We are posted for board town meeting, just so you know.
No, but I'm saying, can you show a PowerPoint during this? Your counter argument?
Oh, I don't know. I will talk to Bill Mayer, right? It's ultimately up to the moderator. I hope that he'll allow me to do that.
Okay.
But it's up to him. So
that's a good idea. It can go more into point by point.
okay. Well, as I said, I'll email Bill and see if he, one would assume that obviously the governance committee will make their presentation, that he would give us an opportunity to represent the other side, so to speak, the people that are, that represent the no vote. Again, I'll see what I can put together and see what he, will allow. So.
Do you want to send it around? You want to send it around quickly so we can just look at the last version of it before we vote on it?
Yeah. So here's, you want me to share it? Or do you want me to just email it?
Email it, please.
Okay, because I will, okay, so hold on, this should be, and as I said, all I really did was make the couple of little changes we just discussed. So let me email it again. Hold on, just give me 1 second here. Okay. match it. Right, that is the right version. Okay. There you go. So I just sent it out to everybody and I just listed the changes, right? The only thing that I did was adjust the bullets as we just discussed. I added the title in the quote paragraph and fixed the width that Tim found. That's really the only changes that I made since, other than incorporating when we started this process, half an hour ago when we started with the first draft there. So really, you only have to look at the bullet list, and that should be it. So, and of course, I adjusted the margins a bit. Okay, so I'll give everybody a minute to look. Okay, so did everybody get the email, by the way, just to make sure everybody's got it?
Yeah, there's a on the second page. There's some it needs to be a space or
Are
something.
there format? Well,
No, there's a word.
I was going to say, pay attention to the words, because if they're simple formatting things, I will take a run through afterwards and just, make sure there are no extra spaces and, things like that.
So I
I found one already that says missing space.
Were you going to highlight that paragraph?
Which one? The quote at the end?
Yeah, the first line.
The first line.
Even former select board members.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, you mean bullet? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that the bullet that starts remove financial balances and checks. I like checks and balances, by the way, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's just a nit, only because that's the way you hear it normally. But I do think the creation of an inherent conflict of interest is a separate bullet. I think that's a separate point, and I think it's incredibly important.
Yeah.
And then the next one significantly alters the independence of the finance committee. That one
Okay.
I don't know.
So
Is that true? I mean, we have no authority, but I don't see how the independence is going to change.
Right. I think it actually impacts the independence of the budget process.
Okay. Okay.
Because it would now be incredibly biased.
Okay. Okay. I changed that. So just so everybody knows, right? Alters the independence of the budget process.
You need to do that up above too.
Oh yes, in the bullets. Yes, I'll do that.
I was actually just looking at the bullets. So.
Okay. I just realized. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. I didn't read the rest of it, but I had read it before. So.
I'm just making some, right. All I'm doing while it's being reviewed is I'm just fixing the formatting in the areas where they're like missing spaces and stuff like that. So. Okay. Okay. So you said you wanted to make the conflict of interest thing. Where was that one? You were looking at the bullets?
Well, I was. So the bullet, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4th.
Okay.
But bullet
Okay.
up from the bottom.
Okay. So you wanted to make that okay.
It says remove financial balances and checks and would.
Okay. Change. I made that a separate.
And you don't need would again, by the way, just because it's.
I obviously took that out.
Would.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I got that.
And just one question. I think I had asked this in the. So we, in the beginning, to the residents of Holliston, it says that the governance committee brought forth 2 articles, but we only comment on 9. Should we say anything about the other at all?
Well, we're not
Opposing.
We don't have opposition to that one. So that's,
Yep. But we just don't say anything. It just sort of, as I was reading, I was like, what about?
Well, no, I will tell you when I was putting together the first draft before I sent it out, when I was taking the first cut, I did put something in there. And then I looked at the length and said, this is pointless. Why do I need to describe an article that we don't have opposition to?
Yeah.
So So that's why I said I thought of that point and then said I don't want to cloud the issue, right? And say, one, the other, if somebody were to say at town meeting, why are you opposed to one, not the other? Well, so the other one doesn't contain any substantive changes other than changing the dates of town meeting and things like that.
Okay. Okay.
You should really change checks and balances and checks to be checks and balances. It's
Okay.
always better.
Okay. I will do that. I'm doing that now.
It's in two places because I had changed it in the other, but you didn't fix it. I had noticed in the lead in.
Oh, well, that's you blame. Well, that's because I was cutting and pasting. So
That's okay. I don't care. It was fine. It just doesn't flow as
I
well.
got
Only
it.
'cause
Okay.
you
So
hear
now,
it.
just to be clear, I'll just very quickly share this first page because that's all we've been talking about. So let me share. The problem is when I'm looking at it and making the edits, I can't see the Zoom screen, so I have to keep going back and forth. So here's okay. So this is what the first part looks like now. So just everybody look at it and make sure they're fine with it. And then I'll unshare so I can see and continue making changes.
So again, that last bullet before the select board, the significantly, of the budget process, never mind. Okay. So it's yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, the other thing I was debating though, now that I've got that on the screen in front of me, is should we say, instead of saying independence of the process, should we say objectivity of the process or independence?
Activity.
Yeah, I like how
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
So you want to keep both or just replace it?
I like both.
And independence.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, objectivity is subjective,
How's that?
but still, I think it's a good word.
Does it look good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it is objective, right? I mean, because we treat each the same, right? Each
Yeah, no, it's
the same,
objective now.
not
But that's
right. Yeah.
And that was my point, right? The part of the issue is that it creates an inherent conflict of interest, which is obviously
Correct.
that follows on from the conflict of interest. It's no longer
Yep.
objective.
Right.
Yep.
And make sure you make that update below on the bolded line, where.
Oh,
that
okay.
is.
Yes. Okay, I'll do that. I'll.
And you'll do a clean read, Ken, just in terms
Yes,
of
I
like
will.
just grammar, things like nits, not substance.
Yes,
But
that's
nits.
why I said
Okay.
I obviously can't make any substantive changes once we approve it, but I can fix the format. Yeah, I can deal with formatting and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And if there's an extra S or something.
Yes, and I will probably. Yes. Okay. So as I said, other than the objectivity I just added below, this is all I changed is in the first paragraph, the other bullets. So everybody's fine with that. Let me know and I'll stop sharing so I can start looking at the formatting and just dealing with spaces and stuff again. I don't think anybody really wants to see me doing that.
I'm okay.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. Okay, just because when it's sharing, it also goes slower. So I want to. Okay, so you've all gotten an email. If you've read through it and you like it, then we can vote to approve
And release.
And authorize me to make any formatting changes, non-substantive formatting changes to make it printable. Like if I have to, as I said, put the fixed spaces and stuff like that after we approve it.
So is everyone ready? Okay, I make a motion to approve and release after minor
Non-substantive formatting.
formatting changes by the chair. Our statement on the Finance Committee's official statement on Article 9 of the 2021 Holliston May annual town meeting.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on that vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Ms. Zemer,
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Alfred,
Aye.
Ms. Nersessian,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, so we have unanimous, and that is our only agenda item. So we won't go into any further discussion. So I will just for you and the public, anybody who wants to get a hold of this, I will take one final read through to make sure the formatting is right, as we just discussed. Just make sure there are no non-substantive formatting issues I have to deal with. Once I have done that, I will send it to the town for posting. And now, did anybody else? I'll send you guys, I guess, a copy of the final product.
Yes.
But obviously, if it gets posted on the town website, if it gets posted quickly enough, I will send you the link. And then, you know, and as I said, you can feel free to distribute as you see fit. I will have it, as I said, I'll have it posted on the town's website. And then, obviously, once it becomes public, you guys can do whatever you want with it in terms of sharing or those kinds of things. So, okay. If everybody's good, then I will entertain the motion.
Motion to adjourn and see you all at 6:30 on Monday.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion, which is not allowed on that motion? So, Ms. Ziemer,
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker,
Aye.
Mr. Alfred,
Aye.
Ms. Nersessian,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That concludes the Friday, May 7th meeting of the Finance Committee. Thank you for joining us tonight. The statement we discussed today will be posted, as you just heard, as soon as practical after I make the final formatting run through on the town's website, and will be available for many of the members if anybody wants to get a copy. But we're done for now, so thank you and good evening.